rousing, stirring celebration we're seeing today of Australia's Olympic contingent. They embody the spirit of Australia that we're about to celebrate in this special episode of Travel Oz. Hello, I'm Grainger. Ahead, we celebrate with the Olympic athletes and relive some of Australia's other big celebrations. We meet some top Aussie characters.
My fellow Australians, you might think it funny, but I entered politics just for the good of the country.
Share their adventures.
It's something quite spectacular happening today.
Their love of music. And sport. And spend time with some wonderful Aussie volunteers. All ahead as we go in search of the spirit of Australia. Well, today, 126 of Australia's finest athletes are marching through the streets of Sydney from here at Circular Quay up to the Sydney Town Hall. This special report from the two Tims.
We Australians love to brag for our countrymen and women who are out there showing the world what we've really got. But more than anything, we love to see our stars become legends.
And there could be no bigger stage to show off our Australian spirit than the Olympic Games. And right here, we're welcoming home the athletes for the 2008 Beijing Olympics, together with 46 medals.
The Australian spirit is something that stirs inside all people who are proud to call this great nation home. It's a sense of pride and mateship that binds us all together, and there's nothing that brings out the Australian spirit more than international sporting matches and competitions.
Yeah, look, it's a beautiful day. It's days like today that make you proud to be Australian, don't you think? What's it like being home?
Oh, it's great being home, you know, to see all the support here. Like, you don't actually realise how much it actually affects, you know, not just yourself, but everybody else as well.
What makes the Australian spirit so unique in a worldwide scale, like, say, the Olympics?
Yeah, I don't know, like, it's funny, like, everyone sticks together, and the whole, you know, like, never give up, you know, never say die type, you know, that type of thing, you know, it's really good over there, and it shows in the racing as well, so you just want to be the best, you want to win.
As far as population, Australia is not a large nation, but we always give it to them in the Olympics. Do you think it's the Australian spirit, that drive as Australians, that mean that we succeed in an event like the Olympics?
Got to be, yeah, definitely.
You look at a lot of the Europeans and the girls who race were saying how many $100,000 they get for a medal, and couldn't believe that we do it for the love of the sport. They just blown away that so many Aussies have such a passion for sport, and we do so well just for some reason. I don't know what it is.
It's in our culture to do sport and to win. I think we're just naturally competitive people as Australians. Everything's a race, everything's a competition, and yeah, it's what we do best.
What's it like to come back to Australia at this big homecoming, big welcome parade?
Yeah, quite surprising, I think. Yeah. A few more people than I guess we expected, for sure. We are small, but we make it worthwhile when we're there. We're born and bred at the Olympics.
We love our sport, and everyone gets behind us, and it's just great to come from a country it's so strong, and everyone's just behind you.
It's kind of overwhelming, and it makes you appreciate the kind of support that's been here for us while we're away.
Do you think that the Australian spirit has got something to do with the fact that we've come home just so successful?
Well, Aussies love our sport, so it just kind of is shown in the support that we're getting today.
I think that the public just generally appreciate the athletes and all the hard work that we put in.
Oh my God, the atmosphere is absolutely amazing. Like, all the support you're getting from, like, all the crowd are, like, it's just so exciting to know that people just really are just so happy for you. It's great. Especially even when you're overseas, and just, like, everyone in the crowd, like, the Aussies are just, they're amazing. Like, they really get behind you, and they're just so excited and happy for you. It's just so good.
Oh, it's amazing, and just to be here today with the crowds, all the little school kids touching the medal, it puts the biggest smile on their face, and it's the best feeling. It really is.
The atmosphere is absolutely electric. Is it good to be home?
Definitely. There's no place like home, and after spending so much time in China, we're just so spoilt here in Australia, and we love it.
It's amazing. You know, these streets are just lined with thousands of people, and to feel that support is just amazing.
To think we've built some of the greatest cities on earth and we still care about the individual, that's why Australia's great. And I think that's built into what's called the spirit of Australia.
We do so well out at the Olympics. It's the Australian spirit, isn't it, that really just thrives.
We love our sport and we love to compete, and I think that's what we show. We show we're very good at what we do.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much. Thanks. Woo!
Well, the big day for Australians to celebrate being Australian is Australia Day. As Australia Day warms up, celebrations get underway right across the country. This is a day where Aussies wear their flag and wave it with pride.
I love our beaches and our cities and our Fago attitude.
It just is a day you've got to go out and have a good time with other Australians.
Happy Australia Day.
Sunny, it's warm, it's free, it's not crowded, it's opportunities, it's just a beautiful place.
Australia Day is a really proud day for me. It's a day where we honour what we have, you know, and we have so much here, and it's just a day to celebrate.
Today, a wide range of waterborne activities have been scheduled. Parades of boats, skydivers, races. The emphasis is on having fun, stirring the Australian patriotism, with the harbour foreshore packed with exuberant spectators. Well, music and sport are another great way that Australians celebrate their identity.
G'day, folks. But I keep moving.
One of the biggest gatherings of Aussie musicians is in the northern New South Wales city of Tamworth. This Australia Day parade of country musicians is the climax of a week of concerts and performances. Every street in Tamworth is lined with passionate performers.
But how long does it take to mend a heartache?
Of all the music played around Australia, it's this song, Waltzing Matilda, that encapsulates the spirit more than any other. Different venues, different versions.
Waltzing Matilda, Matilda, my darling, you come on waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, lead in your water bag. You come on waltzing Matilda with me.
Our favourite version was recorded at the same billabong, the Combo Waterhole, where Banjo Patterson was inspired to write the ballad.
Once a jolly swagman camped by a billabong under the shade of a coolabah tree, and he sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And he sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me.
The Waltzing Matilda phenomena and Banjo Patterson have totally consumed this township, the township of Winton, which is 1.5 hours drive south of that famous billabong. They have here the Waltzing Matilda Centre, and this weekend an Outback Festival which heavily celebrates the life of Banjo Patterson. Banjo Patterson gave his first performance of Waltzing Matilda here in Winton. The venue today for bush balladeers to spruik their own verses.
You stupid mongrel galoot. Well, no sooner did he hit the ground than all the other dogs took to him as well.
When the starter's bell rang, it was evens. And my moment of truth had begun.
And Joe Patterson is the man. He was the most, I think, technically correct, brilliant, just solid.
He's the champion as far as bush poets are concerned.
I think he wrote the history of Australia.
Winton and this area is great for it. The Waltzing Matilda Centre that's here, there's so much history, there's a lot to be thankful for.
I think real life has to be within bush poetry because there's something that truth adds to a poem that you don't get from just a story.
There's some wonderful characters around, there's no doubt about it, and you know, they can give you a good laugh, or they can they can tell you a good yarn that'll bring you to tears.
I think it's that sense of irreverence, that larrikinism that we have in Australia. It's unique. If you travel to another country, they're not the same as us, are they? We'll have a go at anything.
Melanie Hall certainly has a go at anything, with her own ode to the hazards of the bush toilet.
But your legs can't hold this posture. And you know it's going to cost you as your muscles start to tremble and you break into a sweat. So you wait with bursting bladder while you're slowly getting madder and you try to twist your legs into a fancy half-hitch knot.
Just about every woman's nightmare, whether you're in the bush or not, you have to use public toilets and it's a bloody nuisance, isn't it?
My fellow Australians, you might think it funny, but I entered politics just for the good of the country.
Western Australian balladeer Keith Lethbridge pays his respects in verse to politicians.
I call it schizophrenic verse because it doesn't actually rhyme unless you're thinking bad thoughts. This dirty, stinking, metho-drinking, God-forsaken, trouble-making, ugly-looking, damper-cooking, beer-swilling, lady-killing, spitting, spying, looting, lying, bragging, swearing, overbearing, creeping, crawling, name-calling, fighting, fussing, cattle-rustling, lousy, rotten, woe-begotten, tyre-slashing, pillow-bashing, coffin-cheating, maggot-eating, mutton-chewing, billy-brewing, swag-toting, Labour-voting, low-conniving, bullet-driving, shooting, shoving, whiskey-loving, double-dealing, chicken-stealing, dear old mate of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, the next candidate for the city of Armidale in Western Australia.
The last word today comes from John Major.
I live my life for what it is, and I live it for today. For I may not see another dawn, that's not for me to say. And be it in some hospital ward with nurses all around, or on some ravaged battlefield, shattered on the ground, I pray that I can face it and meet it like a man. Until that day, just live for life and enjoy it while you can.
And what about Australia's great characters? Well, here are some of our favourites. There's Rusty Frame. He runs his own Outback show at the Stockman's Hall of Fame in Longreach, Queensland.
Oh, the Outback, it's a fantastic place to be. It's wonderful to live out here. I tell you, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Wide open spaces, friendly people. My main reason for loving the Outback is it's God's country. There'll always be stockmen out here. There always will be. While you got sheep, while you got cattle, while there's goats, while there's any animal, there'll always be stockmen. And I just want to be part of it until the toes curl up, I suppose.
Then there's Jimmy Hawker. He spent years of his life living in the Davenport Ranges in Central Australia, fossicking for gold.
I think it's the most beautiful place you could have on earth. It's like heaven to me. Davenport Ranges is very special to me. I spent about 18 to 20 years in that country, roaming through it looking for gold and living off the land like bush tucker and catching fish from rock holes. And I lived in spinifex humpies and I really lived like animals, I suppose, and that's the only way I survived.
Jimmy is a true bushman. His bush survival skills extend to collecting plants he uses to wash himself down by Whistleduck Creek.
Yeah, this is a bush soap. It's a wattle, just picked it on the way down. And the seeds, you can get the seeds out of it and make a damper, flour, gundy, Aboriginal people call it. And but it's really famous for the medicine side. It'll take grease off your frying pan. Unbelievable stuff. And it's good for your skin. Don't get it in your eyes. If you get it in your eyes, you'll be screaming for about 3 minutes. But after that, you'll see things you've never seen before. The good stuff.
20 years of living rough around the Davenport Ranges means that Jimmy knows exactly where to find his bush tucker.
Right, bush coconut. You pick them and you break them open. 4 things in here you can eat.
Yeah.
You eat the eggs, eat the insects, eat the white flesh on the side, and then you can eat it. Try it. It's beautiful, full of water. That is beautiful. Nearly good as a beer.
One local artist with many stories to tell is Jack Absalom. He's built a gallery to display his works, all featuring the land he loves so much, the Australian outback. Jack may be 80 years old, but he's still painting.
I go to a lot of trouble when I go to the bush. I go to an area. I go to like the Hamersley Ranges or Arnhem Land or wherever it is. And when I get there, I'll do nothing for the first, say, 3, 4, 5 days, but drive around. I look at all the morning lights. I then look at all the afternoon lights and say about the second day, I say, hell, that's interesting. I've seen this country in every sort of situation or environment you could put in. Storms, dust storms, floods, whatever it is. There's always something there. There's something that attracts you. I don't think there's any country in the world that's got the reliability, say, the comradeship that you find in Australia, especially in the outback of Australia, because that's the real Australia, out in this country. Not the cities. You could go to Sydney or Melbourne and you could be in Paris or London. There's no difference. But the outback, there's nowhere in the world, I believe, like the outback of Australia.
One all-Australian adventurer who's just completed yet another round world trip, this time by car, is Dick Smith. We catch Dick and his wife Pip as they end their trip at the Sydney Opera House.
107 days of driving, 2.5 years, and 25 years ago I landed at Darling Harbour and Neville Wran, the Premier at the time, welcomed me in after flying under the harbour bridge. This time we drove under the harbour bridge. Oh! Hey! Well, 3 cheers to my wife Pip for putting up with me. Five flights around the world, and I wanted to see the world from the ground, and I thought, you hear about grey nomads driving around Australia, I thought, well, I'll drive around the world. Yeah, 40,000 car, I think it's 107 days, around about 14 countries, and it's 2.5 years since we started, because we go for about a month at a time, then we come back to see our grandchildren, and then head off again. But it's been a most wonderful drive around the world, a great adventure.
So you're a true explorer.
I'm an adventurer more than an explorer. Explorer's sort of looking for new places. It's a bit hard to do that today. Maybe in Antarctica it's possible. But we actually went on pretty well proven routes, but everything from good roads to really impossible roads and to no road. Well, the best part of around the world, I reckon, was driving across Australia. Of course, we don't have any borders. Everyone speaks English. We have the most wonderful, you could call wilderness areas. We love the bit in Western Australia, the Gun Barrel Highway especially, the beautiful red earth, the fact that it's so unaffected. And Len Bedell just put in a bulldozer track, and that's basically what you drive along. The roads are pretty rough. The old vehicle gets pounded around. But seeing Australia, especially the outback, I mean, we all live close to the coast, most of us anyway, but we identify with the outback, and to me, driving across Australia, around Australia, is just the ultimate thing to do. Every Australian's got to do it, otherwise they're not a real Australian. Just ahead of us is something quite spectacular. Have a look at that. The scenery we have in Australia is as good as anything in the world, and we can get around our own country. We just speak one language, you don't need a passport, and you have the ultimate freedom to go wherever you want to do. And I recommend to any Australian, get out and see Australia, every bit of it from the coast to the outback.
Well, one way Australians have stood out is through their generous voluntary services. There are the wildlife carers, those spirited volunteers who look after orphaned animals when their parents are killed.
In the area there's 4 different species of varoo. We've got 3 of them here. We've got wallaroos, we've got plenty of reds, and we've got 1 western grey female. Oh, I just love them. I just love them. I couldn't imagine life without looking after them. Just beautiful.
Then there's the people who dedicate their time to provide medical services to remote communities through the Royal Flying Doctor Service.
Any type of emergency that you'd have in the city, we've got here. We've got car crashes, we've got heart attacks, we've got you name it. So we are the ambulance service, with the exception that no one expects us to be at their place within 8 minutes.
We're flying with Dr. Hines and his colleagues as they wing northwards. A 45-minute flight taking them to the small settlement of Tibooburra, where a dozen patients have made bookings to see him.
Don't know what life would be like out here without the RFDS. Certainly a little bit more of a challenge for people living out here.
It's fantastic, actually. It's great that you've got something that we can rely on, being so far from anywhere else. If we ever have any other questions or concerns, we know that they will go further and find out all the information that we need.
It's good to be able to provide a service in an area that needs care.
And finally, there are the heroes of Australia's beaches. Those hardy men and women that give up their time to help save lives.
We have over 1 million people, young, fit athletes, male and female in Australia, that volunteer their services each weekend to save people, keep them safe from dangerous surf, keep them safe from sharks, from all different scenarios.
We have about 8 to 10 people on patrol every weekend, and they rotate in rosters and patrols. So they're all volunteers, and they generally do a 4-hour stint in the morning and then afternoon on both weekends, Saturday and Sunday. When we do come down, we have to set up the beach, we have to bring the gear down and make it safe. We also do checks to make sure that where they're swimming is going to be the safest spot.
Well, one surefire way that Australians love to celebrate their identity is through sport, and they're sporting heroes as we're seeing here today. Let's see some of our favourite highlights. No matter how harsh the conditions, Aussies love to compete. In outback Cooper Pedy, that means a round of golf on a course devoid of grass. At Winton, the concept of the lavatory at the back of older houses is taken one step further when the locals gather to race one another in a dunny derby. And at Lightning Ridge, wild goats are harnessed every Easter to race one another. But the race that stops the nation is the Melbourne Cup, as the two teams discovered.
The history of the Melbourne Cup dates back to 1861 and has run almost every year since. The Cup's original success was fueled by the Victorian gold rush and didn't take long for it to reach international status. By 1880, over 100,000 people made the trek out to ride here in Flemington, which at that point in time equaled to over 1/3 the population of Melbourne. Well, as you can see, this enthusiasm for the event has just grown and grown. Nowadays, the Melbourne Cup is a drawing point for celebrities, socialites, race fanatics, and really anyone looking for a good time. And not just from Australia, from all over the world.
We'll get to over 100,000 people here today, close to 105,000 people I would imagine. Fine sunny day. One of the great things about Cup Day is that everyone seems to be happy. Because it's not like a football match where you've got two opposing sides against each other, everyone just seems to be here to enjoy the day, and you'll find that the atmosphere during Cup Day, as you go around the course, everywhere you go, people are just glad to be a part of the action, and it's just a great combination of fashion, food and the fine thoroughbreds. Just fantastic.
As the Melbourne Cup races to a climax, we're left to ponder why this race stops a nation, why Aussies are so competitive, and why they're such a spirited race of people. And that is this special Spirit of Australia program for Travel Oz. I'm Greg Grainger.
And we're the two Tims.
Happy travels!